Welcome to the new Workology Go Podcast. In just under 5 minutes, we'll get you the HR and workplace news you need before you start your day 3 times a week. Get ready, get set, and go with the new Workology Go Podcast.
Here are today's HR and workplace news headlines from the Workology Go Podcast. I'm Jessica Miller-Merrill. This podcast is sponsored by HSA Bank. It's summertime. And that means that vacation season is upon us, which as an HR leader lends to a lot of confusion when it comes to employee questions about time off, vacation, PTO, or holiday time. Not to mention overtime pay. You're probably a master like me at stretching your holiday time and vacation hours, allowing you the least amount of vacation time used, giving you a 4 or even 5-day holiday weekend. All these summer holidays create a lot of confusion for employees who aren't familiar with policies, procedures, and how your holiday or vacation time is counted in your holiday pay. Every summer holiday season on Workology, we get hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of messages, emails, chat messages, tweets, DMs from employees, your employees, who have questions about their holiday time pay. In today's featured article, we tackle the subject of holiday pay, and we're taking it global and talking about holiday pay, not just in the US, but in the UK. In 2017, in Flowers and Others versus East England Ambulance Service NHS Trust, ambulance workers claimed that 2 types of overtime, non-guaranteed overtime pay, which was taken when their shifts overrun and any voluntary shifts they had chosen to take in advance, should be included in their pay calculations for holiday pay. In a decision coming from the UK, a judge out of England in the Wales Court of Appeals found that workers were entitled to overtime pay. The ambulance staff took their claim to EAT, which ruled that voluntary overtime should be taken into consideration in addition to non-guaranteed overtime. However, it referred individual claims back to the Employment Tribunal for a case-by-case assessment. This allowed them to determine whether the voluntary overtime was regular enough to be considered in part of the normal remuneration. All this just lends to a lot of confusion around vacation and overtime pay. We have judges who are responsible for now calculating the overtime, determining who gets what. My head is going to explode. This featured article comes from Personnel Today. In my HR career, I've dealt with a lot of different types of compensation, and I have grown to have a love-hate relationship with sales compensation. I know you understand what I have to say here. All types of compensation have created so much drama and confusion, but it is up to us as HR leaders to help our organizations through communication, education, and sharing, especially sharing with our leaders, how to do all this. How do these crazy calculations happen? And what are the rules and policies and procedures for organizations? How can they communicate to their employees, not just HR, on how to calculate overtime, vacation time, holiday time, and any other thing related to compensation? It's our responsibility, but it's really those frontline managers who are the direct lines of sight in on helping to answer these questions. In this episode of the Workology Go podcast, I wanted to read to you a few comments that have come to me on Workology over the last few weeks on the subject of holiday pay and overtime pay and just compensation in general. I know we are business leaders, but these employees are reaching out to me. They're posting on my blog anonymously or begging. They have their email addresses. Some are sending me chat messages. They're asking for help. I'm a last-ditch effort in an attempt to give them clarity on the subject, which is why I'm asking you to revisit your policies and procedures, not with your employees, but with those managers. Here's a recent comment. My family lives too far away to be able to visit for a single weekend. Therefore, I could never work for a company that doesn't allow time off, whether paid or unpaid, during the first year because I cannot accept the idea of not seeing my family for that long. By having such a rigid policy, you will be arbitrarily excluding people whose families live far away and will be losing touch, and you'll be losing out on good employees. Another commenter left a blog comment and said, not allowing more than 2 days off in a row throws under the bus people like me because 4 days off in a row 2 unpaid plus weekend is of no use, given the distance I have to travel to see my family. Those policies are heavy-handed and fail to understand the needs of people who have moved away from their family and their state in Providence. Another comment, we can't leave out California, can we? California, can an employer place a cap or limit on the amount of unpaid personal time off that a person takes? These are questions that I'm receiving on the blog, people. And finally, here's our last comment. I am a non-exempt salary employee, but because the production area of my company is being shut down on a Friday, I am being told to take the day off and either use my vacation hours to get paid for that day or is to not get paid on my timesheet. Since this was not a day off on my accord, should I have to make the decision or should I get paid for the day regardless, since I'm a salary employee? These are just a few of the messages I receive daily on this and these topics from employees. They're emailing me privately, they're messaging me publicly, they're sharing intimate details about their employment, and they're asking me for help. This is why I ask you to take a little bit of time to communicate and share and educate with your employees, but most importantly with your managers, because I feel like they're going to have the most impact and they're going to help be that front line of defense so they don't have to message a stranger on the internet.
With health savings accounts, flexible spending accounts, health reimbursement arrangements, COBRA, and commuter benefits, HSA Bank is simplifying the health account experience for over 35,000 employers and 2.7 million members alike, inspiring everyone to own their health. Learn more at hsabank.com.
And that's this episode of the Workology Go podcast, sponsored by HSA Bank. We're your go-to for HR and workplace news. I'm Jessica Miller-Merrill. Thank you for listening.
To learn more about the Workology Go podcast, subscribe to us on Apple, Google, and Stitcher. Our podcast is also available on Alexa and Google Home. Learn more at workology.com/Go podcast and access this episode's resources, links, and reports for more information.